Welcome. My name is Kelly DuMcCallan, and the title of my project is Convert Migrant Missionary, Women and the Moravian Church in the Atlantic World. Today I'm going to introduce you to two different documents that I think really encapsulate the nature of my project and the kind of sticky relationships I am trying to tease out between white women missionaries and their targeted Black enslaved converts in the 18th century Danish West Indies. So I'll tell you to start a little bit about who the Moravians were, where they're coming from, introduce this relationship, and then tell you a little bit about the broader project. The Moravians were an 18th century ethnically German religious group from Central Europe by the Polish-Czech-German border, who came to have a very wide-spreading missionary network throughout the Atlantic world. As this map here on the left shows, they spread throughout the Atlantic beginning in the 1720s and established settled congregations in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and then mission outposts down in the Caribbean. Here on the right, you can see a glimpse of what colonial Bethlehem looked like, only about 3 hours here from Penn State. And the Moravians, most consequentially, were a utopic communal society who believed in sharing resources and used communal resources to send missionaries out to minister to target populations, most notably Native Americans and enslaved Africans in the Caribbean sugar colonies. One woman I want to introduce to you today is Dorothea von Denknatter. Her letter here on the right is one of the few archival traces of this woman. She wrote in 1752 to a pair of white women missionaries who had since left St. Thomas, where they initially converted Dorothea. And she wrote to them, as you can see on the screen. She was greeting them and the entire congregation back in Bethlehem, references the missionaries' daughters in a very kind of collegial manner, and really establishes that she had a personal and intimate relationship with the two women that brought her into the church. Dorothea did not write this with her own hand, rather it was probably dictated, but it is written in German, not Dorothea's native language. She probably spoke Dutch Creole based on her position as an enslaved African woman, and that was the lingua franca of the West Indies in the 18th century. So this is a letter just by Dorothea establishing a connection to the missionaries and into the church, and really cementing her as an active and involved member of the Moravian church in the Caribbean. But the interesting thing about Dorothea von Denknatter is I initially thought she might have been an enslaved congregant, much like many others that I study. But upon further research, I actually found this deed from the purchase of a plantation by a Moravian missionary or a Moravian congregant. And then later, this same plantation was purchased by the church outright in the 1760s. And what this deed here on the left says, again in German, is it delineates the purchase of this tract of land, the plantation that came with it, and 8 enslaved people. So this box here that I've kind of put in yellow on the left, it denotes that one of the women that was enslaved on this tract of land was Die alte Dorothea, or the old Dorothea. In fact, the same woman mentioned in that letter. So this shows that Dorothea both had a personal relationship with the Moravian missionary women who converted her, but that she was actually quite literally also enslaved by the church. So this is what I'm trying to get at as a brief teaser to this dissertation, is these very complicated relationships between enslaved Black women who also were finding homes, positions of leaderships, and communities within the Moravian church in the Caribbean, yet while at the same time being literally property of that church. Here on the right is just a brief image of Moravian Memorial Church in St. Thomas as it stood in the mid-19th century, and that church still stands today and is in fact a majority Black church with many female deaconesses and elders. So at the end of my dissertation, I'm really looking forward to how the Moravian missionaries who came in and preached to enslaved Black women, literally oppressed them through slavery, also in some ways created the opportunity for Black liberation theology and Black community building, which persevered post-emancipation and into the 21st century. So thank you.